Welcome in the Geopolitical Situation Room. Today is Thursday, the 5th of March 2020. In Moscow today, the Russian President Vladimir Putin met with the Turkish President Erdogan, and they've agreed on a memorandum on stabilization of the situation in the Idlib De-Escalation Area. What is it all about? Well, let's first have a look. This is, of course, Turkey, Syria in the south. The area which we are talking about, as you know from our video of the 1st of March, is the area of Idlib. And here is it. It's the text, the additional protocol to the Memorandum on Stabilization of the Situation in the Idlib De-Escalation Area. You see that the text refers to previous agreements on destabilization areas. The agreement of the 4th of May of 2017, and of course also the deal between Turkey and Russia of September 2018. Interestingly, both refer to the sovereignty, independence and territorial integrity of the Syrian Arab Republic, and both are talking about their determination to eliminate all terrorist groups in Syria. But of course, Turkey and Russia might, well, not agree with one another on who actually the terrorist groups are. So this is left a bit vague in the text. Although there is a reference towards the UN Security Council Resolution 2254. As you know, this is about a UN-facilitated process for a future of Syria. Now, of course, also the humanitarian situation is mentioned, and we know that that humanitarian situation is something to which the Turkish government has referred to. The 3.9 million Syrian refugees Turkey has on its own territory, and the 1 million refugees that are now residing or have fled parts of Syria towards the Idlib region. Now, if you look at the text and the actual agreements, then you will see that there will be a ceasefire at midnight local time in Syria itself. But the text, of course, also has other dimensions which we have to look at. Now, before we look at it, and if you look at my first video on the 1st of March, then you saw that I was mentioning the city of Sarakib, where the Turkish and especially also pro-Turkish groups were attacking that. The Turkish were also using drones, and as a response, Assad, the Assad troops had to put tires on fire to try to respond to those drones. In any event, in those last couple of days, the Syrian army, together with the Russian Federation, actually have progressed quite a lot. If you look at the situation, they have taken Sarakib again and once again consolidated the M5 from Aleppo to Damascus. Meanwhile, there has been a lot of fighting in Idlib. So, in fact, Erdogan was not completely able to really create a security corridor or to be able to cleanse this area. So in that sense, he came to Moscow with much weaker hands than he might have anticipated a few days ago. If we then look at the situation a bit further, so here you see advancement of the Syrian Arab army and also together supported with the Russians. These were tricky situations over here. As you know, Turkey lost troops, but the Russians have said that they did not know that Turkish troops were so close in this area and, of course, also in other areas. Now, if we look at the memorandum of today, there is an important aspect. A security corridor will be established 6 kilometers deep into the north, 6 kilometers deep into the south, of the highway M4. but specific parameters still have to be agreed upon between the Turkish and the Russian military. Now let's have a look at that particular area. This is Idlib, and this is the so-called M4 highway, which is now crucial. This is the city of Sarakib. Let's just project 6 kilometers more or less to the north and to the south. This becomes a new de-escalation zone. Now, of course, if you would look at it from this point of view, then one would say here's Turkey together with pro-Turkish groups. This is the city of Idlib. If you look at it, and of course we also know that in this area there are about 20,000 terrorist groups. Some of them call themselves these days, but they keep on changing their names, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, so quite radical Sunni groups. Those are over here, but actually if you think about that de-escalation zone around the M4, then quite quickly you will realize that the Russians together with the Syrian Arab army will potentially be able to at least consolidate the south of Idlib. So in that sense, again, this is a bit, well, what has Turkey won? Well, Turkey has won a ceasefire. It has won some stability and perhaps some leeway for the refugees, but again, the hand of the Turkish government is somewhat weaker. Now let's look a little bit further. Again, this is zooming in on that area of Idlib. Again, if we have a look, the M4 highway, the zone that is now being created, there will also be patrols, and here they are, patrols by the Turkish and the Russians together along this M4 highway. So in that sense, that sends a signal of cooperation, of trust. But of course, this is a cooperation between the Turkish and the Russian army, and one can ask questions whether pro-Turkish groups or even also Hayat Tahrir al-Sham will recognize this and will, well, retreat. We're not sure. So the question is, of course, whether this agreement can really be implemented on the ground, and much will depend on how the Turkish and the Russian army will fine-tune now the details. And of course, a last issue, a remaining issue, but a very important issue, is where do the refugees go? Up north? Well, then of course, ladies and gentlemen, they're still trapped, perhaps not in a direct line of fire. I'm sure that the UN Security Council will now have a look at the situation. As you know, my own country, Belgium, is a co-pen holder together with Germany and Kuwait on the humanitarian situation in Syria, and actually Belgium has asked for the establishment and the opening up of an extra humanitarian corridor to create at least some alleviation to the refugees in the area. Surely this is not over, it's just a chapter in between. Instability will remain, and much of this memorandum, much of this agreement, well, will depend on, is it really implementable on the ground? Surely we will follow up on this dossier, and again, if there are new developments, we will let you know and we will make a video. Thank you very much, and until next time, bye.